Grand Rising Life Force, and welcome to Speak Pro Radio. My name is Stefan Rao, more commonly known as Tank, and today this is the Life Force Network. And if you're not familiar with the Life Force Network, the Life Force is a movement dedicated to bringing people together of like mind who want to change the world, who are dedicated to change the world, and giving them a way to do that and giving different people a way to contribute in meaningful and purposeful ways so that we can create the world that we've always wanted to exist in. So my partner, Laura, is actually having some technical difficulties right now. So we're waiting for her to come on and go live and actually be here with me. But we have some pretty amazing things to talk about because, as you may or may not know, the deep state is in a full free fall, just collapsing every single day. Most notably, you might have noticed the about 2,000 points drop in the market share on Friday, and then on Monday they continue to drop, right? Because this goes back to a secret plan, not a secret plan really anymore, but a plan we've been talking about for years that Kimberly Ann Gogan exposed me to many years ago. When not many years ago, like 7 years ago, when she first reached out to speak to me. What she did was she actually told me I was at the time. There's something called the currency revaluation, and if you've never heard of the currency revaluation, this is kind of like a global scam in a sense, and I don't want to take away from people who are deeply involved in this, right? Because it's really tough. There was a major currency revaluation of the Kuwaiti dinar back in like 1994. And that's why Bill Clinton is famous for having the most prolific economic boom in American history. Because he and the Bush family, the Bush, which are different extensions of the Order of the Black Sun and the Rockefeller family and just the entire Rothschild Dragon family legacy, right? They're both part of that. And they invested heavily, obviously, in the Kuwaiti dinar. And then overnight, the Kuwaiti dinar went from being like 1,000 US dollars to one, or 1,000 Kuwaiti dinar for every one US dollar to, I think it rose up to like to be like 1 to 1. Actually, better than that. I think it ends up being like one Kuwaiti dinar ended up being worth $3. So if you were holding on to millions of Kuwaiti dinar that cost you $1,000, then you were instantaneously rich, right? Now imagine if you were holding onto billions and even trillions of Kuwaiti dinar. Well, you could use that money any way you want to create whatever havoc and turmoil you wanted to, right? Now you could also use it for good, is what the thought was, right? So what happened was, in Iraq, right, there was all these pallets of money and people directly involved. And then over time, they started to leak out that you could buy Pacelli bonds and you could be part of something called the prosperity programs. And then there was Nasara Jassara, right? And there was this whole white hat division working inside to the American government to restore the republic. And it would be a worldwide movement. And this is what all the hype was. So several years ago, I was part of this and I had bought lots of currency, right? So the big currency that was going to revalue was the Iraqi dinar, the Vietnamese dong, the Zimbabwe zim, and I think, I don't know, I actually had some Iranian rial or dinar or whatever that was as well. But anyways, so somehow I got involved in this and I ended up being kind of like a spokesperson. And I was talking about it, right? And I was talking about the currency revaluation, and I had access to all types of people, right? I mean, all types of military guys and treasury guys and intelligence guys and like people like Chinese elders, and I would get all this incredible information because when you're putting out their story, they allow you to really thrive, right? So we would do really well. I do a conference call randomly, and it would get 2 million hits, and it would be transcribed into 14 different languages and fed out on the internet and be all over the world, right? So this was happening all the time. So it kind of like happened overnight. Like I didn't know anything about it. All of a sudden it seemed like I knew everything. Like boom, I knew everything about it. But in reality, they were feeding me bad information because this is what they wanted to happen, right? So here was their plan. I said all that to say their plan was to use the currency revaluation to do a couple things. One, all these people that bought up currency, most of them are people that were really doing amazing things in the world, right? There are people trying to help other people, right? Visionaries, Imagineers, healers, right? Energy workers and spiritualists, people that were already doing amazing things. But the one thing that hampered them was having access to the finances and funds to bring out their inventions or bring out or connect and make the world a better place. They didn't have it. So the currency revaluation was used to stall these people. So you had people that had bought currency and were waiting for years, decades even, waiting for the currency to revalue, holding out hope that they would get access to incredible technology that would basically allow them to be healthier, stronger. There was always reports of med beds, which med beds are real. Okay. And what they were going to do is they were going to access these med beds. And there's a guy out there who talks about the med beds, right? He uses this holographic technology, right? So if you lost an arm, it would project a perfect version of your arm where that arm used to be. And when the cells would get there, they would just keep growing, right? And build out your arm. And they could do the same thing with all of your organs and make you younger and healthier and fit and strong. So people were holding out hope that even if they had to hold on another day, right? Because there's always the constant promise that the currency revaluation is about to happen. And I was directly part of this. I would tell people, because I would talk to a Chinese elder, I would talk to the treasurer, I would talk to someone else, military guy, so much so that I would have direct access to military intel while operations were happening, right? So anyways, so all this would happen, and what they were doing is they were stalling people. So what they did is they played something called the Tomorrow Game. The Tomorrow Game is a CIA, MI6 kind of psyops, right? Because what they know is if you've invested a long time into something and all you have to do is wait until tomorrow, well, you'll wait. You'll wait another day because it's just one more day. You've already been doing this for 10 years. What's the big deal, right? Or if you're brand new to something and someone says, look, it's coming out tomorrow. Well, it's only one day. I can wait one day. So they would constantly, perpetually keep this carrot in front of people and say, the RV is going to happen tomorrow. The currency revaluation is going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen tomorrow, right? And people would analyze and critique just the way they do with Q now, right? A lot of the Q guys are RV people as well. And they would follow these events and think about what that would do. You basically end up becoming completely and totally consumed with waiting for someone else to do something. So you never really get a chance to have the impact that you wanted to in the first place. And they basically allow people to die off and it's a psychological mess, right? So anyways, I was part of this, right? And I really believed it was true. And at some point, I gathered together about 3,000 people and I was furious. I had all this evidence from the banks that the RV was real. So I made up my mind. I was like, either the Chinese elders, because I thought the Chinese elders were in control, are the most diabolically evil villains ever, or they don't have the power to RV the currency. As it turned out, both of those things are true. They were horribly evil people. They still are. And they also did not have the power. And the way that I found that out was Kim Gogan. So Kim Gogan, first time she calls me, this is the ground commander, what we know as ground commander from the Office of the Guardian now, who is also the comptroller and running the deep state off the planet basically right now. And first time she called me, right, she basically said, I saw your name everywhere and I felt it was time to reach out to you. Thank you for the validation, Zasha. So she basically explained to me that if the currency revaluation were to happen, right, it could always be talk about it going from Zim or dinar into US dollars. She said it would collapse the value of the US dollar overnight. Collapse US dollar. So it would be fractions of a penny overnight if that were to happen. And if it happened, or when it happened, this would cause a global collapse of the world economy because there was 147 countries pegged to the US dollar. Okay. So all of these countries, so if the US dollar collapsed, all these other countries would collapse simultaneously, and every other country that does, so all the world would collapse overnight. So everything would go into a massive depression, 1,000 times worse than the Great Depression, right? And nothing would, so you'd basically just have chaos on a global scale. And then what would happen? Well, the order, right, which is like the dragon families, the Order of the Black Sun, the Illuminati, the evil empire behind the scenes who's been running the global financial system. What they would do, what they told Kim, now this is what she referenced it. I said all that to say, they told her this, that they would collapse the economy and then buy back everything for pennies on the dollar, right? That was their plan.
Mm-hmm.
So Laura has made it on. Hey, Laura, what's going on?
Hey.
I'm glad you can make it. What was going on over there?
I have no idea, but I'm here. I'll just let you talk. And so, yeah, so how are you today, Mr. Al?
I'm doing great. I was just breaking down some of these things. I gave a big long lead in to lead up to what Kim was talking about, right? So
No, that's yeah, like I've heard this before. However, seeing it happen now and just confirming what she's saying, I'm like, oh, yeah, it's so true. So it's pretty cool.
well, so this is the big to do, right? Of here, let me bring. Is your camera working okay? Can I bring in a camera?
Yeah.
There you are. So this is really kind of a fascinating thing that Kim talked about, right? So I said all that because I thought this was such a compelling piece that the ground commander mentioned. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She basically said that she was talking about the stock market crashing, right? So what they're doing, what they have been doing, is they thought they were going to have money come in from blah, blah, blah system, whatever it was, right? They're going to bring in money from whatever system. So because they don't have money, they caused a significant drop in the markets, right, to pull money out. So they pulled out like $70 million on Friday, tried to do the same. I guess they put it to a trade platform over the weekend and they took it off ledger, right? So they were going to, but remember what their plan was, right? Their plan was crash everything, buy back for pennies on the dollar, but they don't have any money. You in the deep state, you don't have money anymore. You don't have that big swinging money that you used to throw around to do whatever the heck you want. You don't have it. So I'm not talking about your mom or something. I'm just pointing out the obvious, right? So they don't have any money anymore. They don't have money like that they used to. And I'm going to explain why, right? Well, here, I'll explain it here. Because what happens is you are facing a global liquidity crisis right now. Now, what does that mean? That means there's not enough money currently in activation in the markets to do what they want to do. Normally, there's about $14.5 trillion in liquidity in a combination of currencies in the world. Right now, last I heard, it was like 1.3 trillion, right? So you're looking at like 14 times less or 12 times less the amount of currency, right? That's actually available. So what happens? Imagine a bumblebee that's stuck inside of a balloon, right? And the bumblebee is going back and forth in the balloon, and the balloon is just losing air, losing air, losing air, losing air, and the bumblebee's inside until it has no place to go. That is what the ground commander has done to you, the deep state, or to any, to the deep state, to the order, to the dragon families. They have less and less and less to work with. So here's what they just did. They tried to take out $70 million. And because they don't know how the system works, so what they did was they did what they've always done. They took it off ledger. Now, they used to use these bullet trade platforms, right? You take the money off ledger, it would trade really fast in like microseconds. All of a sudden, your $1 million turned into $100 million in half an hour. So they took all this money off ledger and they turned it into like $800 trillion, or $70 million or $700 million, whatever it was. And they turned it into 800 trillion or something ridiculous like that, right? So now they got all this money off ledger trading whatever the heck they're trading, right? And then what happened? They try to, of course, bring the money back on ledger so that they can spend it. Because what good does it do to have an asset that you can't use, right? Doesn't do you any good, right? Reminds me of Indiana Jones, right? He'd always be the guy who'd like find the prize, then he couldn't get away with it. He couldn't bring it home because somebody would take it from him. So it's these guys, they get this money, they have it off ledger, and what do? They try to bring it back on ledger, but because there's no allocation numbers for this alleged asset, they cannot bring it back into the golden age system, which is currently running and will always run from here on out the global financial system. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well then come back on camera and let's talk about it. So so with that being said,
Mhm.
that's what Kim did. Now, what she did say though, which I just find fascinating, which is why I gave that long intro in the beginning, she said, imagine the good it will do, right? Letting the market crash,
Mhm.
letting these corporations fall apart, letting them just go away to the point where they have no money. What'll happen? Well, we then, right, as the beneficiaries of the golden age system, when imbued and endowed with the appropriate currency from light source currency with good intentions and given that money, generically, we, the people, can buy back these very valuable corporations for pennies on the dollar. She flipped their plan on them. This was their plan, right? And she revealed it yesterday. And I just was like, oh my gosh, this is what they always said. You guys, the deep state has been so cocky and arrogant. How, a matter of fact, there's an email. Oh my gosh, Laura, there's an email
Mhm.
written from one of the Vaughn Rothschilds, right, to Kim.
Mhm.
And it says, and it's on the Speak Project actually, and it says something to the effect of this. It says something like, uh, you are less than us. We are aliens and therefore gods. It says that's what it says from the Rothschilds. And it says, and we will destroy you with the power of our minds. That's what they said, right?
Mhm.
And basically said, like, you will get nothing and be happy. Like, that's what the email said from the Rothschilds to Kim.
When was this? Was this now or
That was like 2016. I
okay?
mean, that was a long time ago, right?
And they sent that email to her.
To her, yeah.
And do you know what she responded?
I forget. I mean, obviously, she said something very provocative to get them to respond that way in the first place, right?
Right.
This is when she was still trying. Like, if you listen to Kim, what she talks about maintaining balance, right?
Mhm.
So the ground commander, the Guardian, you know, the Office of the Guardian, she's constantly been in this. She's been in this position as the trustee, as the comptroller,
Mhm.
and the custodian for the global assets of the world. But basically, her responsibility is to protect the people, right? And to protect the energy that supports the people.
Mhm.
So what these guys were trying to do is get control for themselves.
Mhm.
You know, that's always been their goal. Now they had control for so long, but in 2007, Marduk, the former comptroller, right, he had registered every asset on the planet, in ground and above ground. That was his job. He registered every asset. So there was nothing left for them to turn in to the trust to get money out.
Mhm.
So, and you know this is true out there in the land of operatives. You know what I'm saying is true. Because if you ever did contract work, and by contract work, I mean you did some special off the books operation for the deep state, right? As a contract employee of the order, the Chinese elders, the Black Sun, whatever, right? Any one of
Mhm.
these groups, what you were paid in, you had a little black book where you recorded your job. You put the date, the time, and you put the account number and the amount you were paid for that job. And that little black book was off the books, and the Rothschilds sold you that bag of garbage, excuse me, they sold you that bag of lies saying that you could access that money and you wouldn't be taxed for it, so you could keep it covert operations, right? But in 2007, you haven't been able to, since 2007, no one's been able to access that money because Marduk shut off the trust. Right? He shut off the off ledger system.
Okay. So he shut it off. And what else?
Well, the reason why that's a big deal
Yeah.
is because the entire deep state has been hemorrhaging ever since.
Mm-hmm.
All they've had is what they have. So whatever's on ledger, that's all you can really use, right?
Mm-hmm.
So ever since then, the real draining of the swamp has been their assets and their access to advanced technology and things slowly being chipped away. Not even slowly, because you got to think it took thousands of years to build this empire.
Mm-hmm.
And in a matter of 17 years, they've been completely demolished.
So we've got a video to show. Would you like to see that one? I want to hear your thoughts about this.
Drop it like it's hot.
Collapsing. That's it. It's here. It's over. Warren Buffett just sold half of his Apple holdings. Nancy Pelosi sold Microsoft. Warren Buffett sold all his Bank of America shares. So what's causing this? Bank of America is getting sold off because the commercial market is coming due, and that is in shambles right now. They need to do condo conversions on all those offices. But the big tech players, they miss their earnings. Now there's fear of the war with Iran. Israel's going to war with everybody in the Middle East. So this is all just so scary. And so what's going to happen with the housing market? Well, the Feds are going to be forced to cut rates. There was a prediction that they might do a quarter, now almost guaranteed a half. And I was hearing this morning it might be 0.75. So that's going to lower rates, but depending on how low they cut, people still can't afford it. People have been living off of credit forever. And so their credit scores are at all-time lows, like consumer debt is at all-time highs. So even if they lower rates, what are they going to do if they still can't afford it? I predict that people are going to start selling their houses to try to access the equity. And if the market starts to tumble, it's going to be quick. Everyone's going to be trying to offload their property before it's too late and they lose even more equity. And if you can't increase the buyer demand because no one qualifies still, their credit scores are too low, it's Armageddon in the housing market and the stock market. But if they cut low enough, hey, you'll see some reprieve and everything will get back to normal.
So
Yeah.
what do you think about it, first of all?
Well, no, first of all, I wanted to show that, like, I was a little bit like, is this really happening? So then I went on to Google, and it is. Like, he is talking about this. So I'm like, holy moly. So I feel like it's actually giving a little bit of credibility right now to ground command, if I'm not mistaken. Like, that's, like, I want to know what you think about this. We were having this discussion outside, and you were saying so many, things that were blowing my mind. So I want to hear that.
Yeah. So it absolutely, Kim the ground commander did just talk about these things, right? So anybody who's not familiar with this, go to unitednetwork.earth, check this out. It's mind-blowing stuff, and you might not be ready for it. You might not, to be honest. So we're going to give you an abbreviated kind of muggle version, right? That's what she said to me right before. She goes, is it okay to say this? Because we're dorks, right? So we're into Harry Potter and anything magical. So,
Well, because the thing is, when I watch Kim's broadcast, sometimes I'm thinking, okay, what is she saying? What does that mean exactly? And I'm sure, like, and this is what I was saying, like, for us muggles over here going, I don't understand. I just started doing this. I just started learning how to find myself, or, COVID woke me up, or whatever it is. That's why I was asking you, because, like, the things that she talks about, sometimes I just, don't understand it until you connect the dots for me. And I'm like, oh, because you understand this a little bit more because of your history and how long you've been doing this. So, yeah.
like, and a little bit more, to be perfectly honest, And what's amazing about this stuff is you could just be a step ahead of somebody, and it seems like a lot. but it seems like, oh, so much. It's like, really, I know just a little bit more than the average person, but because I've directly dealt with stuff, usually I can break it down somewhat. So
Yeah.
this is what's kind of amazing. So amazingly, I did speak to someone who I can't name, who is friendly with Warren Buffett, who allegedly, Warren Buffett actually validated that Kim's real. That Kim is really
Wait.
the head of the global financial system. Yeah.
So hang on a second. The guy that we just showed just now,
Mhm.
that's the one?
Yep.
Trying to find it really quickly. This
Yep.
one.
Yeah.
Really?
He told this person who he's trying to live that Kim Gogan is the head of the financial system. He actually said, like, well, the real head of the financial system is this woman, Kim Gogan. That's what he said. Yeah.
Okay, so what's your theories of why he would be pulling out that money? Or like,
Well,
why do you think? Because like, there's a few things that I'm thinking like it could mean this or it could mean that. So I want to know what you think about that.
so we have a global liquidity crisis. Now, Bank of America is the Black Sun Bank, right? It is the Black Sun, Order of the Black Sun Bank. Now, I will tell you this funny side story. Uh, Ground Commander mentioned somebody who actually created, I think, the Echelon system, the global financial system, which is an individual who I coincidentally met several times. We worked together. I won't say his name because she didn't, right? So for his protection, um, even though it's not like we're friends, right? Because he had another plan, right? But he was basically kept impoverished. But he was brilliant. He got recruited when he was like 9 or 10, right? Because he accessed the global financial system from a dentist's office on this computer, like back in the day, right? Like in the 80s,
Mhm.
right? So brilliant guy, brilliant, and like understands how systems work. But anyway, so I had connected with him and connected him with Kim because the deep state had tried to keep these two separate for so long because they were both they had these innate abilities to
Mhm.
understand things like prodigies and different ways. But she mentioned it on the broadcast, and I thought, oh, that's really interesting that she mentions that.
Mhm.
But anyway, so in this, his signature is on every single one of these treasuries all around the world,
Mhm.
right? It's like a digital signature, like where you can see his name on it. But they kept him impoverished. That's how they operate. If you're too exceptional, what the deep state would do is they would keep you low, constantly low. They would take everything from you, right? They would use your ideas, your genius to fuel their machine, but they would keep you low, right?
Mhm.
But anyways, so back to the question, this with Warren Buffett, right? So why would Warren Buffett pull out? Oh, so this I was working with that individual with
Mhm.
Kim as well, and we brought in $157 million for a project into Bank of America. Okay,
So so wait, you brought it in or you were going to bring it in? Just so.
nope, we brought it into Bank of America. We had two accounts there. We brought it in directly to Bank of America,
Okay.
and and what happened was the money was brought in, it cleared, it's
Mhm.
at the bank, and in the um, transfer room, which is like the most sacred room, right?
Mhm.
They sat there and Kim recorded this. While
Okay.
they sat there in this room, these members of the Order of the Black Sun, and they tried to figure out how can we steal this money. The money was brought in for projects
Mhm.
to restore communities in New York City. I know because it was my project, right?
Mhm.
And that was brought in as well as $25 million for a separate project that the individual I was working with also needed, right?
Mhm.
Money was brought in, it was there, and they sat there devising a plan, and they were recorded devising this plan on how they'd steal the money. And the ground commander sent that tape out to every government and bank in the world to expose them. Not long after that, Bank of America actually was bankrupt. So they've been bankrupt, they've been insolvent for a long time.
Mhm.
Now, Warren Buffett has a significant share in that, or he did, and just sold off 50% of all of his shares, which is a huge loss to them, right? Now, what they've been saying, you've been saying this to me, right? That do what the billionaires do, right? So if the billionaires are pulling out of something, it's dangerous, right? So
Yeah.
why would they pull out? Well, because if you own like
Do what the billionaires do in the stock market. They've obviously gotten there by doing, what they do. So you always kind of look at them and go, okay, what are they doing? How can I become that? That's what I think a lot of people do is they want to be financially secure. That's what we're struggling with. A lot of people are struggling with that. So who do you look up to? It's whoever's done it already. You know.
and the first, significant money Warren Buffett ever made, actually,
Mhm.
believe it or not, was actually based on a currency revaluation because he's always been part of the order, right? He's always been connected in that way. Currency revaluation was kind of like the back end way to make money, right? That
Okay.
didn't work. Not everybody knew about that. And it wasn't ever going to be made available to everybody the way they portray. But that's how we started the show. So, but anyway, so Warren Buffett. So why would he pull his money out? Well, because think about it. If an asset, you own something that's making you money, right? Like
Mhm.
a bank or a widget, right?
Mhm.
Whatever it is. But think about it. If that thing suddenly becomes useless, it's completely devalued.
Mhm.
Is it mean anything to you if you have a million shares of um, Kodak photograph paper, for example? No, because Kodak photograph paper got completely demolished when the digital camera was introduced. People stopped going out and actually getting their pictures. Like there used to be the 1 hour photoshops, right? They were like a thing, right? Like that was a great little business to have. 1 hour Photoshop. Hey man, come in, get your photographs developed in 1 hour. Amazing, right? Now digital cameras come out and they get so advanced that no one can tell the difference between a 35 millimeter and a 10 res on a digital camera. So what do people do? They print up their own pictures. They don't need them. So the asset, if you held a billion shares in Kodak photograph paper, it was now worth nothing.
Mhm.
So what did Warren Buffett do? You know, I'd say he probably knew it wasn't going to be worth anything because he's aware who the head of the global financial system is. He realizes these banks won't play nice. They're
Mhm.
not going to get any money. So he pulled his money out. So at least he has the money versus
Mhm.
having it in a stock.
Okay, so then it brings us back to when Kim said that they were pulling out the money and then they put it to their own system. Did I hear something like that? And then they couldn't. They screwed it up. They wanted her help, but then again, you'll be able to explain this a little bit more. Does
So I
that
don't know
kind
if
of
I don't know if Warren Buffett specifically was part of that.
well,
It would
no.
make sense. Like Berkshire Hathaway, I believe, is Warren Buffett as well. Like
Hmm.
she did mention them, and like Goldman Sachs type of groups, right?
Hmm.
So did they contribute to the operation of the order of the deep states? To create a war? Probably. Yeah, probably. You
Okay,
know,
so that's what I was going to ask you. So they specifically did that. Not saying he is. I'm saying so they specifically did that for war.
right. So war used to be profitable because we lived in a war system,
Okay.
right? So you destroy everything, then you have to rebuild it, right? So
Yeah.
that's a war system. It's like, oh, we destroyed everything. So now, production is booming now because we got to rebuild. Everything starts over,
Hmm.
right? So war from that standpoint would be very productive. And also that's what we all thought. But what really would happen is they would have war bonds and treaties and things. And those all were assets that were put into the system. And in return, they would get an asset from the asset redemption system. They'd get an allocation number to print up currency and they would control this money, right? So
Hmm.
now you'd have these war organizations, which is everything, every corporation, every government. They were all part of this and they would thrive off excess spending, right? You can go back to the Iron Mountain report and you can actually see in the Iron Mountain report, it talks about we live in a war system. And the goal was how do you create a peace system? So the only way to create a peace system was to create a common enemy because the only way that people will not get lazy and do nothing is if they're motivated by a common enemy, right? So the goal was to create a common enemy. So what do? They created common enemies, the environment, right? We have to save the environment. We have to. We have a pandemic, a disease. These are common enemies, so we'd all come together, work together in peace, motivated by this is dire, right? So they create fear. Now, the entire monetary system, the entire global system was run on fear, right? I wrote the Green Lantern business theory many years ago, right? Because of my sons, right? We started this little business together. I started when they were like 7 years old. And so we were researching, is what I called it. We were listening to, we were reading comic books. We'd make furniture and we'd collage comic books into it. And so that's how I used my 7 years old time to collage in comic books, right? So to do that, I used it as an excuse to spend time with my sons. And we would sit there and research and research. We'd read comic books, right?
Yeah.
And so with that, like we were watching the Green Lantern, right? And the Green Lantern was the green light of will, right? The first cause of all creation, the idea that spawns creativity in anyone, right? That's the power of the human spirit, of life force in all of us, the Green Lantern. And the opposite of the Green Lantern was the Yellow Lantern, which was fear, right? So fear motivated everything else. Now, they were almost equally as powerful, right? Creation and fear were opposites. So what happened is this world we live in, I realized everything's based on fear. You have to make the numbers. You have to sell a product. You have to survive. Now, if you consider what that does to a human psyche, to constantly live in a state of fear, like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? It's like, we're so afraid. What if I go in debt? What if this happens? What if I can't go to college? It's a constant state of fear, right? So I came up with the whole idea of the Green Lantern business theory. We're motivated by a common will and purpose. Now, that is the business model of the future. I still believe that we are moving towards a business model that we're in the restoration where we are motivated by a common will and purpose to create, invent, to thrive, and to provide that world for everyone where nobody ever really feels like they're working. What they do is what they love. And because they love it, right, they're also paid based on how much they love it, right? Like the more you love what you're doing, the better you do at it, the more you're paid, right? That's kind of part of the restoration. Like that to me gets me so excited, right? So, and I'm telling you, I've always believed that was something given to me by God, right? The Green Lantern business theory. There's articles out there, we can post it, but it's something that talks about the basic components of business and how you can actually accomplish that without fear, right? So now, but what they do is they're so used to a system running on fear. Everything runs on fear, right? So they're in panic mode because they're used to controlling people with fear, right? They're like the bully that, like, all of a sudden, everyone they're bullying is like slapping them in the face and kicking them in the privates, right? And it's like when you're a bully and that starts happening, like, hey, things aren't going well in the bully business, right? So the order's falling apart. They don't have money. All their bullying tactics and holding people at gunpoint and everything else is like, so what, man? That's the best you got. What are you going to do? Right? You don't have any money. You don't have any clout. You don't have anything that I'm afraid of anymore. And once it gets to a point where they can't take anything from us because we've lost everything, now we're standing on the ground on the bottom. We can build, stand up, right? And that's all it takes as people start to stand up and build for themselves and they don't have control of how I do it. You can't dictate what I have or what I owe. Or how about this? How about where our debt is wiped out and we have no debt? Kim, think about this. This is true. Karmic debt doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, apparently it's gone.
Apparently, it wasn't even a real thing.
So it was, we keep saying this, it was Artemis, right? That she created it, right?
The Artemis Accords, yes.
Okay. because they keep appearing. Like she spoke about them today. Yesterday as well. She spoke about them and the pyramid, and she keeps repeating that. And I think they're not understanding is what she kept saying. So that's why she kept explaining it to them. But like I'm seeing this and I'm thinking this is a great thing. It feels scary. Like I think we can agree with that. Like it feels a little bit like the energies are a little bit weird. I don't know. What are you feeling? Like that's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling like there's a big shift happening. You know.
Well, talk about it. Like, I mean, you're tuned into this. I mean, it is definitely.
I think everyone's tuned into it now. Like,
You think? I mean, yeah, maybe.
yes. Like I feel like people are starting to realize. Hang on a second. I'm starting to remember who I am. Once you start getting your power back and start remembering who you are, everything's going to turn around. Everything will change. Because you start going, I don't need to listen to you or anybody. I know what I'm doing. And it's coming from my heart. It's coming from my soul, my gut. Everything in me is telling me to do this. I'm gonna do it. And you just do it with such certainty that now it's like, it's this, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people are feeling that and just going, something's not right. And I don't like this feeling. So naturally they're like, what do I do with it? And then they'll naturally start to get the answers from their creator. And that's what I'm feeling people are having. I don't know. I've just been getting a lot of messages saying that they've been feeling weird and that there's a shift as well, that something's happening. They're just not sure about it. I think that's where people are a little bit scared, but I think it's great. Love to know what you
Well,
think.
so okay, just to clarify, you mean messages like from people, or like messages like from above?
No, messages from people.
Oh, okay. Well, that's boring. Okay, I want to hear about. I mean, like you get messages, other messages as well, right? I mean, like you get communication now because I think this is important for people to understand, right? And you're really great at this, and I do love this. Is tapping into what I would have called the still small voice, right? Which I've always said becomes much louder and much more profound the more you listen to it,
Yes.
right? And you're really good about this, about tapping into that energy and kind of asking questions. Even when the answers aren't what you want to hear, you're great at this, right? Because I've done this with her, like where we're doing, like we're kind of going through this, and like she'll be asking questions and we'll be getting answers and like kind of listening to, not just the energy, but the physical reactions and things like that, right? How does somebody normally do that? Like, what does that look like?
What does what look like exactly?
What does it look like
Okay.
to kind of look to God or look to source or energy or the universe for an answer on anything and get an answer?
Well, I
Because
think
that's a part a lot of us struggle with, right? A lot of us are like, please, God, help a brother out. But like,
Well, I think that a lot of people also start. Okay, so there's some people out there that might be feeling like I did all of this and it didn't work, so I give up. There are people like I did all that, but I'm like, have you tried it again? Because now things are different. Just try it again. Because some people are a little bit tired and they're starting to feel like, because there's so much fear out there, they're starting to feel like, well, I need to turn to Jesus now. This is all happening because I need to turn to somebody, you know, and then it's just going back to what they were taught. Hopefully I'm hoping that people are starting to listen to other people on social media outside of their groups and start going, okay, no, there's more out there. It's not all scary. So I just feel like they'll get the yeah.
no, I want you to keep talking. I want to break down what you say as you go. So hold your train of thought. So number one, the energy is different now
Yes,
because
I've
of
been seeing
the direct current, right?
the direct current. Yes, that's right.
Okay.
And so it ends up being a lot more easier, quicker, smoother to identify what that is. And once you
Great. That's a
identify,
great point. I totally
you
agree.
know, you'll be able to identify and go, okay, what do I do with this now? And you've got to ask yourself, how do I feel about this? Does this make me feel ick? Does it make me feel happy? Does it make me feel like I don't know? And if the answer is I don't know, say I'm curious to know what it is. I don't know. We're going to take that out of our vocabulary. But if it's something negative,
Explain why. That's a great point. You make it all
well,
the time.
why don't you explain
No,
it?
why don't you explain it?
Why don't you explain it?
Well, because I was trying to get you to, but okay. No, this is a great point that Laura makes to me all the time. To say I don't know, right? You're perpetuating a state of ignorance. Like I don't know, I do not, whatever, right? But I'm curious to know creates a completely different energy around it because you're now putting your desire to know. Well, I know everything I want to know is here. I'm now drawing it in, right? Am I explaining that
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so you kind of like you're leaving it out there going, universe, show me, creator, Gaia, God, Jesus, X, whatever you want to put in there, you know, you're asking for that to be shown to you and you'll be able to see it. And some people, it takes a little bit of time. Some people have already mastered it and great. Everyone has different techniques as well. So when something comes up for me, I always think to myself, well, no one else is going to answer this or help me out of this situation, number one. So I need to figure it out. And you got to answer yourself. You got to ask the questions and go, do I feel this way because of your biggest fear? And it's like, oh, that came up, it might be it. I need to now look into it. Why is this happening? Do I need to think? Do I need to integrate it? Do I need to, what do I need? And if you just listen, and it doesn't matter, it could be with music, it could be with, you know everyone is different. Some people feel it, some people hear it, some people see it. Like, everyone has different gifts. The thing that I'm starting to, even myself, when I was like going through all my studies, a lot of things that I have learned, I'm kind of going, well, that doesn't exist anymore. What does that mean? How exciting is that? If that doesn't
Like
exist,
like chakras, right?
like who? Well,
Like
yeah,
chakras. We were talking
chakras,
about
yeah,
chakras. Like chakras were a control system,
yeah.
right? So it's like in like forensic healing, for example, like one of
Mhm.
the main things, it talks about chakras. A lot of different healing modalities talk about chakras.
And they teach you that and you learn about that. And then, you start even like, one person thinks they're the master or something, and they'll turn around and be like, listen here, buddy, you can't do Reiki because the Reiki is doing this, da, 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 da. And it's like, wait, what? Those signals are you're praising something that's not right. And you start to think, wait, is that true? Is that not? You start to question, and it's like, stop listening to everyone else. We have the ability now to hear it for ourselves if it's true or not. And you'll feel it. Does it make me feel good? We are starting to connect more with divine, with pure divine light source energy, God. We have that direct current now, that we have the ability to feel it and understand it a little bit more, like we never were able to before. I that's what I feel is happening.
Okay,
I
well,
don't.
what about if you're wrong? Not you. I'm saying, what
Oh.
about if me,
Hmm.
like, I go to ask a question and I'm wrong about what I believed about something. Now that's not going to feel good.
Okay, but
What do
wait,
I do then? What do I
wait.
do? Like, do I
Okay,
just ignore it? Say, oh, I'm just going to ignore it because it doesn't feel good. Well, it feels miserable because I'm facing some part of myself that's dark, or
yeah.
something I've done that, like, wow, I wasn't right about this.
Hmm.
Like, what do you do with that, and how do you discern between the two, right? Because it's not just feeling good, right? So, kind
It's
of help
you've got
help
to.
define that.
Everyone is different. Everyone is different. That's the thing. I don't want to give bad advice out. I just know what works for me. And I just know what helps me and what they guide me to do. That's the best that I can say, I guess. So, like, you just got to. It's going to take practice, or not. maybe it happens to you, you download it and you just know. And I feel like that's going to start happening because, the system and out, because, we're a system. Like, I thought this is pretty cool. Like, hearing we are a system, so therefore, does that mean we have codes? Which does that mean that these
Yeah.
codes that were put in us perhaps are not, they're not, we don't need them anymore, but they cannot be removed until you, as a sovereign being, remove it yourself. And then yeah,
Yeah. That's a great
and
point.
ask
It's
for,
like,
and then you got to replace it, because you got to replace it for the light codes. Because you can't just remove something, you have to replace it. I'm just like, could these things, perhaps they're removed, and if you're still seeing it, you need to figure out why you're still seeing this in your reality.
and
And
by
then,
the way, this could be translated differently, right? Because
yeah,
we talk to a lot of people, and like this is something that's like, well, you got to make it work for you,
mhm,
right? Like, don't get hung up on the language. We're saying remove and replace. Some people might say integrate,
yep,
thank, right?
yeah,
Like appreciate.
yep,
This could be a trauma that you dealt with, right? So Faye talks about this a lot, and she's like, and she really helped me with this. Is like I would resist things constantly. I'd be like, no, because X, Y, and Z happened, and like and I would push back. I do this with you too, right? Like,
never, no, you, no,
well, right. Thank you. Anyway, so this is so like,
I do
and
it.
I would imagine, and the only reason why I share that with people is because I'm not embarrassed of my own healing, or to be flawed, or to be wrong. And
That's a
I would encourage people to embrace that, like being flawed, allegedly flawed, right? Being or having room to grow is an amazing thing if you embrace it, right? We spend too much time trying to be right fighters. We're fighting to be right instead of fighting to be happy or not even fighting, right? Like just being happy, right?
just trying to understand. Use yourself as a third person. You know, Try to understand that person with compassion of what's going on. That's
Yeah.
sometimes we don't realize that we need someone to just hear what's going on, and then you kind of like lash out, and then you kind of go, wait, should I be hearing this as a third person? Is this for me, or does this person just needs to just you have a safe place to vent, or have a safe place to talk, or you know sometimes this is what I always say: if something's annoying me, it doesn't matter who it is, it doesn't matter anything, whatever it is, if it's affecting me, I look into it. I stop when I have a chance. If I cannot do it at that moment, I'll write it down. I'll call you. I'll say, please remind me of this, because I want to look into that. Why is that coming up? Because that is a block. So therefore, I would then dissect it and go, okay, I talk to myself like I'm a third person, like, all right, Pinto. All right, listen. um, why is this here? And you've got to hear and just go, oh, this is, and you'll start to feel a memory. You'll start to feel something come up. Like, why is this affecting me? Why are you here? Like, talk to it as if it's in front of you. Why are you here? Tell me. And it might be that your inner child needs some healing. It might mean that you need to thank it, or give compassion to oneself. Rafaela just said it, forgiveness. There's so many different things there that it could be, but only you know. So then as you do that, so when I do it, I'm like, okay, why are we here? Because I don't like this feeling. So I want to, not want to, I am so excited to restore this planet. How do I get there? And if I can't restore myself, how can I restore anything? So I'm like, okay, let's start with restoring oneself. And then that's the first step. And then, once you're restoring yourself, you're restoring your mind, your body, your soul, your cells, you're, rejuvenating them. You have the ability to tap into your creator, or not even to yourself, and say, right, listen, I command you to function, in a healthy manner. You know, do whatever works for you. Start off by doing it in the mirror. That's how I started when I was in go.
So this is a struggle. I still struggle when you say it. I understand the language and I even agree with it, but it's like this one based on programming. So like I realize this is something I realize just now as you said it, I have resistance to, right? Which means it's something I need to heal, right? Just to give somebody some insight into like how this kind of stuff comes up, right? When you talk about commanding
Mhm.
the universe, commanding God, right? And and not only that, but think about it, because if you really look at the scriptures of any religion, they're all telling you that you are one with God. They're all saying that. I'm telling you, I can take apart the Bible and show you how over and over and over again it's telling you God is in you, that you are part of God, and you will do greater things than the Messiah. That Jesus asked to his Father, a higher version of himself, and said, "Make them one as you and I are one." Right? That's powerful. But what you said, command it. Right?
Yeah.
Command it. Like, so talk about
As
what
is.
is that?
As
That's
it
powerful.
is. Yeah, well, as it is. Like you just said just now that it might be programming, right? Okay.
Yes, I did.
Okay. So you said there was a struggle with you saying that you can't do
Healing's about to go down. She's about to dissect me right
that.
now.
No, no,
Just
no, no.
let everybody know. Let everybody know. Let
No.
everybody know. Go ahead. Make it happen. Go ahead.
Whoa. Okay.
Go
And
ahead.
this is him, deflecting. Is that the word? When you
I'm
deflect?
not deflecting. I'm having fun.
No,
Carry on.
no, stop him. No, stop,
I'm
stop.
embracing.
She's going to do
Embracing.
this. You're embracing it. Okay. No, but you got to ask yourself.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so now I've completely
I,
lost
I
my
was
train of
deflecting,
thought.
commanding God or ourselves.
Commanding yourselves as it is. Like it is that. You need to see it to then be able to bring it towards you, right? That's the whole thing about
Right.
manifesting.
Sure.
Okay. Well, if you're saying I want to, we're always going to be wanting to. By commanding, you're saying I command this. Why? Okay, we'll go to scriptures. I think that's how you say it. When Jesus would, take out a demon, what would he say?
Get out.
I
I mean,
command.
literally, he'd say, get out.
Wouldn't he say, I command you to leave? If not, then this week, like I can
He'd
bleep
be
it
like,
out later.
leave this person. Or,
I
yes.
command. He would
Yeah.
command it.
Okay, that's true. I mean, command means it's anything you're saying force, like you're saying directly, without without controversy about what your words mean, right? So if I were to say get out, that's a commandment. I'm commanding you to leave, right?
Thank you. Yes. So this is the thing. God, or who your creator is, I thought I just saw it, is one. We are one. There we go. Raphael, I think it is again. There we go. Oh no, Joanne, I'm so sorry. But I look at this and think, yes, we are one with our creator. And we just need to connect, which in reality, our creator has put a part of it's see, I don't even want to say he or she, these things. I'm like, it's so hard not so hard. It's so easy to talk about this. I'm trying not to offend anyone because the thing is, when you give people a little bit
What
too
a
much
waste of time.
okay, wait. When you give people a little bit of too much information that it's too much of a shock, and when they're not ready to hear it or anything like that, they can start to feel like, hang on a second, that doesn't make sense to me, and that's where I'm struggling. I don't want, and I shouldn't be saying don't want, but I don't want my words to affect someone that they turn around and go, hang on a second, I'm saying the wrong words, because that was one of the things that would actually stop me from, I guess, finding myself more, learning and listening and trusting. So that's why I'm like, okay, I'm being very cautious with the words that I'm putting out there. So
Yeah, I got you.
When so you say that it's programming, right? And you
Mhm.
know it's programming. If the program is no longer there, it's been taken out of the system because there's no longer an alpha and omega system, correct? It's now been transferred over to the golden age AI system, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep, golden
Okay.
age AI system.
So therefore, these programs that you just said that it triggered you, that you struggle with this, is supposedly not there anymore. But if it's still appearing in your life, it's still stuck in you. So imagine.
God, it's such a mind f. I mean, like, yeah, I know. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Like it's gone, but I'm still holding. I'm the one keeping it alive. Damn it!
Yes,
I
because
know.
I know it's mind blowing. It's like wait, I'm here because of me, and once you get there, you're like wait, okay, no, it's not because of you because I'm here. All of these things have molded, shaped who I am today to give me the strength to come and conquer this moment, be here at this time. And I may not have understood it back then, and I may not have liked it, but hey, guess what, mofos, you're you putting these programs in place, these hurting us and throwing frequencies at us. Yes, it could have put us to our knees at one time or another, or for a moment. But before, it would take, let's just say, days to recover. Now it only takes seconds, and you get back
Yeah,
up and you've got to raise your frequency. Because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't know what I have to heal now that's stuck in me, that's connected to the system that I want to be out of. So you have to do it. So how do you do it? Okay, why is this here? And then you've got to go through. We'll do this later because this is something intimate. This is something that you need to be able to do by yourself, or you need to be able to do with, someone you trust.
or with an audience of people on a live broadcast on YouTube. So why don't
No.
you stop copping
But
out and go ahead and explain it? Like, and take the time. Look, stop. This is something you're well equipped to do, right? And furthermore, because you are well equipped to do it, you have a responsibility. So take responsibility. Show people what it's like when you're okay. Like, just give an example at least, right? Because I've gone through this with you lots of times. Like you know, we talk about the word want, and whenever I hear the word want, I think of Robert Tennyson Stevens from Mastery Systems, who was a friend of ours in the flesh, and still something that we hold dear to our heart afterwards. Right? We actually did the very last interview with Bob before he passed away, and he was really powerful in talking about only speak into existence that which you want, or excuse me, that which you desire, that which you choose to exist, right? He wouldn't say want ever, right? But like, so it was amazing because we had a couple interviews with him, and we would get to the end, and I'd be like, well, I want, and he'd be like, see, that's a problem, and you'll always be wanting. You'll always be wanting, right? And so it's amazing when you start looking at these words, the power that we have when we speak, or even, a lot of us, we think in words, right? We're thinking in words. So what are you spending your time thinking about, right? So I love this, right? I've embraced this about myself, that if I'm resisting to something, I have to laugh at myself about it, right? Even when I'm frustrated with the person, who might be pointing it out, right? Like,
the
who,
mirror effect.
whatever. Like when someone's pointing out something that I don't like, not even necessarily about myself, but they're just saying something I don't like. I have to I've gotten the habit now of where I'm like, and let me make this clear. It's not like I'm in a good habit of this, right? It's not like I'm really receptive, because think about it, you're facing resistance. It's in yourself, and you're like, mother, father, like what, like really? Like this is here? Like I'm dealing with this issue right now? And,
Again.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then I'll go through like
Again,
a
we're
whole
doing
like
this.
I'll be kicking up the fuss with it, right? Like for a little while, right? Like so I just want to be clear. It's not always pretty. It's worth
Mhm.
taking the time to do. And I want to make sure that it's clear. I'm not speaking from a soapbox like, here's what you have to do. Like, no, believe me, I go through it. It's ugly. Sometimes healing hurts, right? It's ugly. And it's a
It
little bit like,
does.
oh, come on. Like, how am I here again? Right? Like
But it's
that feeling.
but then, we've all done this, that we finally healed something to its core. But then we start feeling like, oh, I feel better. I feel liberated. I'm happier. And then, something else will come up. Remember that time? It wasn't forever. It's not going to last forever. And now we have assistance from not only, our, friends on other planets. We have people that are here, you know, actually awakening to their Christ consciousness as well. And they're also helping people too. And, we're kind of all coming together and we're doing it. Um, I just lost my train of thought.
Yeah. Christ consciousness. Awesome.
Where were we
Healing
going?
is cool.
This is I like live. This is live. I like cut and let's start again.
Okay, one more time from the top. We were talking about
What
this.
am I talking
Yeah.
about? Oh,
So
Jesus.
so the healing journey, that's I was trying to get you, I put you on blast
Yes.
a little bit because yeah,
We,
so Laura is a really powerful healer and she understands these things in a really deep kind of way. And so she tells me a lot of stuff and I do my best to repeat them. However, I'm always trying to get her to expand on that for people because it's valuable to anyone um, to actually connect with somebody who understands, like, hey, I've done this. Like, I've looked at myself and others and been able
but
to
have been able to. Sorry.
go ahead.
I think if you can't answer those questions, if you can't be honest with yourself, who else can be? Like, you're going to have to, you want to get out of this, you're going to have to be honest with yourself. And you're
I feel
going
like a
to
lot
have
of
to
people are willing
ask
to be honest
yourself,
with you when you're not, when you're lying to yourself. It seems like a lot of people are like, let me tell you about you. Like, I feel like a lot of people want to be honest.
what do you mean?
Like, a lot of people want to criticize you, right? A lot of people want to criticize you if you're not being honest with yourself. Don't you think?
Yes. But I'm talking to like you asking yourself those
Yeah.
questions. No one needs to know the answer. You don't have to tell anybody. But you really have to, like, this is a self discovery. This is you becoming one with your creator. And because you're one, that's the reality. We are all a piece of that pure divine light source energy. That's how you were created, you know, and then, we can expand on that a little bit more, but, you know, the only way to truly, truly, get out of this is by first discovering yourself. And then other things will be shown to you. You will get another letter, a little whisper, a little something on what to do next, and you'll just know what to do. Everyone has their own roles, and good or bad, everyone plays a role, if we like it or not. If they didn't play their role, it wouldn't have given us, 8 billion people to stand up and actually rise and say, we deserve better. This will not happen again, not on our watch again. They came into this planet, like, this is our home. It's about time we stand up for our home, and it's not getting the pitchforks and fight. It's you start with oneself. Then, by doing that as a collective, we will just start to open up the lights, and that's it. It will just all fall together. Does that make sense?
It
No?
does. So let's talk about that, right? So, what does it look like? Because this is a big question I hear and feel and have felt myself over and over again. You will hear about the ground commander doing these amazing things. And whether you believe it or not, it's so anyhow. These things are happening, right?
Yeah, if you like her or not. It doesn't, like, I've always said this. You don't have to like her, but you have to accept the fact that she's ground command. You know, it is that simple. Because things have not been able to move ahead if if she wasn't doing her job. And then it allowed other people to do their job at the same time to then open the doors. Because, this is where I'm like, I'm not saying to follow, I'm not saying to listen. I'm not, none of that. What I am saying is that use it as information as you're getting intel. What does that mean? This is also giving us a little bit of history that we've all been seeking and yearning for. It's right here. It's not always pretty. It just is. However, I would rather know the truth so then I can be part of the solution. And that's what I think we all need to start seeing these things. How can I be part of the solution? Well, it starts with us. One person doing it. You do it for yourself. And if we all start doing it, the people that need to do it, that will be enough to restore this planet. And then everyone else will just follow through afterwards. It may take a little bit of time. It might, it's going to take time to restore this planet. It's been, it needs to be nurtured a little bit in all angles. And that comes up to us and saying, this is our home now. Let's put it back together the right way. And really stand up and say, what is good for this planet and the people that live on this planet? You should be asking those questions. You're preparing. What makes you happy in life? Is it, being around nature? Is it going and growing fruits and vegetables? Great. These things are needed when the time, well, it's needed now. But I think, it takes time for what Kim's putting in place. Like, and at this point, she is always changing the laws because, I think I said that right.
Well, yeah, she's moving like she's ball control. Again,
Yeah, like,
if you listen to Kim, she
oh,
talks about
no,
like she's the one holding the ball and moving it.
yeah.
Now she says this. What state? No, they do not understand. Right? She was still breaking down how the hierarchy of the world worked to them. Just a few days ago because they think they're on top. Right? And she talked about at the top were these six individuals that were like Anti-Source, Lucifer, Marduk, Enlil, Enki, Artemis, right? That held the seal to the world. And then below them were the 21 parents, and then below them were the 42 coven masters, and then below them were the next group, right? There was this whole hierarchy that existed here on this planet that control things.
Mm.
And she's explaining to them because they're still continuing to operate the financial system or attempt to operate the financial system, the global, all these different weird satanic ritual belief systems. They're still doing that based on these other things still being there, and they're gone.
Mm.
Right. So I compare it to the top of the. Oh, I don't want to do that because someone will take a picture of that. But we're going to delete that, please. But the top of the US dollar, right, where you have the triangle, right, with the eye in it, that whole thing's been cut off. The whole thing's gone, right?
Okay.
So sorry about that. Hopefully, no one. I'm sure there's Team
But
Bubba's out there snatching that up as we speak. Like, we got
really,
him.
haven't they gone after what's her name?
I don't
Whatever name.
know.
Anyways, point to the stars. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so this is like really, really cool, right? Hearing this is really cool because it's like when she said they pulled out, she said that she can buy everything pennies on the dollar. Did I say that right? I said
Yeah,
that right, yeah.
pennies on the
Yeah.
dollar.
Holy moly. Like, that's pretty cool. And it's like, this is why I'm saying, like, she's moving the pieces. You may not like it. It may have affected you. You may have gotten the kick up the butt at one point or so or whatever. But guess what? Great. You were the bait, maybe at the time, or so on and so on. Um, you know, but you did your job. At the end of the day, every single person will start to, go back to their one self. So this is really cool. Now, she also said that it is about money. Can you give me your thoughts about that? Because you said,
Yeah, I loved what she said. Actually, she said She said, "Listen, like she was talking a lot of what the ground commander speaks about, Kim Gogan. She'll talk about to the deep state is listen, like in your world, energy is money. They're one and the same. So bringing in currency from source and money in this system are the same because you're taking the money or the currency, which are two different things now. But this new currency we take and put forth to create more energy, right? More life force. And she said they're one and the same, which is funny because I've always said this to people because people would always say to me, it's not about the money. And I'd be like, that's bullshit
Okay, so
because
why
money
is it
is
about?
just energy. Money is just energy. So no one ever says it's not about the energy. This self-righteous stance of like it's not about the money and you're this for talking about money. Like, no, it's about the energy. What's the energy you're creating, right? Now, this is the first time they're, in my opinion, where it's like, oh, what I said actually is true now. Because before it was based on a debt system and a credit system. So all the money was debt and credit. But real currency is energy, right? What's the energy you're creating? What are you putting out to the universe to bring back to you and create in this world? And can we now literally manifest this into something physical and tangible, which is exactly what Kim said, directly from the ether, from God, from source, from prayer, from meditation, and bring it down into existence and use it? Are we at that point where we can? I mean, because Kim has talked about this, we'll be able to do this ourselves. We'll be able to manifest what we need to account. And what I mean by need is not like survive, right? What? Because think about it. Needs. What people talk about is the Maslow's. I think it's Maslow's ladder or something like that. The hierarchy of needs, and it's like, well, I need food. I need water. I need to just barely be able to function. No, that's not what a freaking need. What do I need to thrive?
I
What
like
do I
to
need? Yeah, go ahead.
see. I like to say, what does my soul need? What does my soul need to thrive?
To
Because
thrive. Right? That's
yes,
the difference. What do I need to thrive? Do I need
yes.
space? Do I need a location? Do I need an office? Do I need a boat? Do I need to be out in the water? Do I need scuba gear? Do I need superpowers? Perhaps.
I think
But
it's also like, you know, you you want to be able to, you know, think about it. We come into this planet. You're born. You live in, let's just say, America. You get to choose if you want to go live in another country or what you want to do. Right? You can do whatever you want. Yes. Great.
yes,
Okay. So now the way I'm seeing it as is that you know
what she's seeing it as is a sudden disconnection from everything. And now I'll pick it up. Right? So, all right. So the point is, what do you need to be the best version of yourself? Right. And realize you can have it. Matter of fact, I used to say this to people all the time, if you are exceptional, you have a responsibility to be exceptional. You don't get to just blend in and be average. Go and be exceptional. Be amazing. If you are light, then all you can do is shine. Go and do that. And don't you dare for a moment feel guilty about it. Don't ask anybody's permission. Don't worry about the consequences. Be the best version of yourself. That's the golden age requirement of who we are. Now, what does the world look like when we are thriving in that way? When we are embracing every single opportunity, every moment of, and look, every second of the day, every moment you're awake is an opportunity to make this incredible choice to choose life and to thrive. So do it. Choose life and thrive in always. Lottie, you ready to come back on? I'm just talking to myself. Wasn't directed at any real person. Okay, so the point is thrive. Thrive. What do you need to thrive? We are in this golden age, and I am telling you, I don't exactly know how, but I'll tell you what, I am putting that to the test every single day. Every day. And what I'm seeing every day is better and better results. I feel better, look better. More things are coming to me that I need to thrive. And I expect more and more and more and more the more confident I am in it. So I'm telling you, do the same. Put this stuff to the test. Don't believe me just because I'm telling you it's true. Go out and put it to the test and prove me wrong if I'm wrong.
Mm.
Right? Let's find out. Let's
Well,
find out what's possible.
well, the other thing is, it's like, I look at it as, everyone keeps talking about Lionsgate right now. Everyone
Yeah.
talks, Lionsgate is coming up on the 8th. First of all,
We're in Lionsgate, right?
yeah, but the 8 is the important day, which is the 8th of August, right?
Right.
So, okay, so this is where I kind of like, this is pretty cool. It's that I look at it as, this isn't just do it for one day thing. The way I'm seeing it as is, it's just like a diet. You don't just have a diet just to lose weight. You want a lifestyle change, right?
Great point.
So, therefore, the Lion's Gate is here. Great. Use this as your advantage. For the first time in a while, whilst we're at 100%, the system's at 100%, there's not many interruptions coming. Again, anyways, that's my
That's right. That's
interpretation.
right.
And so the thing is, you now have assistance on the 8th of August to manifest, to create a better world. However, just like a diet, to me, this is just my opinion. I have now made a conscious decision that this is going to be my new lifestyle because it serves me, because I enjoy it. I like to be happy, but I'm also forgiving of myself when the days are not okay, and that's okay to not be okay. Get back up, you know, get back up and just keep going. It's the energies are funny. However, this is a really incredible time because take this opportunity to really, really manifest what your desires are. And for me, it's restoring this planet, restoring my health, and so on and so on and so on and so on. That is important for me. It is time for us to be out of their, we're no longer their slaves. That's the reality. It's literally the crumble. This is what I'm seeing is that all these hard, all these years that have been quite hard for people, it is crumbling and we are seeing it right now. And on the 8th of August, there is, I don't want to talk too much about it, but the things that I've researched about it, it's a very important day to be able to call upon a reality, and it's a shift. People are talking about a shift. I believe we're in that shift.
Yeah.
This is just my belief. We have already stepped into that, and now I make a conscious decision that this is my life. I'm changing my lifestyle and going to live my life this way, and that's what we've been doing. And I think many people have been doing the same thing. So that's where I'm like, this is so exciting. Tell me what you think, because you're starting to see this. What are we supposed to be doing? I'm like, take advantage of this. I want to hear your thoughts about this.
Yeah. So this is I'm a fervent believer in making lifestyle changes as appropriate, you know. Um, and spiritually and metaphysically, energetically, I've always thought this was, uh, a powerful thing to consider. So I'll use my silly example and you can take it or leave it, right? I'm not selling you anything, just put it out there, right? We have a tendency to grasp some new piece of information, right? And we get this new information and you can compare it to a diet, right? You're consuming new information and you're like, whoa. And we have a couple different things we can do with that, right? Some people consume it And before they have a chance to let the nutrients of the message be absorbed, they immediately go and tell people that aren't ready and they don't really understand it either. So they're like spiritual bulimics, right? They just throw it all back up. Like, oh my God, then he said this, blah, 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 like, and just kind of throw it all back at somebody. And it's like, is that the best way to do it? Probably not. Take a second, make sure you understand what's being said. Make sure, allow those nutrients to absorb in your body, right? That's one thing. Another group that you run into are spiritual kind of anorexics, right? They have a false sense of what their size is, right? Or who they are. They think they're bigger or more important, not even more important, but they think they're bigger in size physically and anorexic. Spiritually, there's a lot of people out there who think they know more than they do. So they don't think they need anything from anyone. They won't listen to anybody. So they're starving, right? Like anorexics are starving, right? They're starving their bodies consciously, not consuming because they think they're too big, right? So I know it sounds a little harsh, people out there anorexic, but and there's more to it. But just go with the point.
We're just
And then you have people that are morbidly obese, and believe it or not, people that are morbidly obese. Do you know what they die from? I know this from my aunt who died from malnutrition. So you think you have all these extra calories, why would you die? Well, because they have all this energy coming into their body and they're not doing anything with it. So their body can't absorb the energy they need because they don't have the minerals and all the real nutrients they need because they're not putting things to use and they don't have a balanced diet, so their body can't absorb it, right? So that's where we can become spiritually obese. So the goal is to be balanced, to have a balanced diet, right? And have a spirit, like be spiritually balanced, where we're putting food in our body that our body can absorb. And then we're living a life that can use those nutrients and put them to good work, right? And whatever that is, whatever that balance is for you, and it's different for everybody, right? It's different for everybody. Like my dog, as you can see, he wants meat and vegetables all the time, fresh whenever I make them, right? So he wants to bark, right? So whenever Lauda is cooking, he'll be like, hey, I want some, right? So it's natural. So look for a balance in what you do. Look, and not just, and I don't mean a generic balance. I mean, really look for what you need spiritually, physically. Like, do you need X? And then embrace it and don't be mad at yourself about it. Go ahead and get it, right? And then see what you need to thrive in all ways.
and be gentle on yourself. This is what I was saying about asking yourself the hard truths. If it is, no one needs to know. Just go, okay, how can I change this? What do I need to do? And that's when you ask yourself, is it researching a little bit and understanding it? Maybe it's just that, and then you just didn't understand it, and you just have to integrate it. Sasha, he wants to be part of the show. Obviously, he will be around. Just saying, loves to talk. But yeah, like you've got to. I just like. I just don't. Everyone needs to be gentle on themselves. And going through this process, it can be, you're going to find the hard truths about yourself. You're going to see that everything's a mirror. Like it's going to fall back on you and be like, why am I doing this? Well, it is me. And that's okay, because then you start laughing, because guess what? The pain, the hurt, whatever it is not there anymore. That trigger is gone. Perhaps it is something that this system has removed. However, you as a sovereign being haven't removed it. Could be that too. Because you want to be sovereign. Well, this also requires, well, hey, listen, these are the things that are in this, this is what happened. This is in your avatar right now. However, you're going to have to release it. And in time, we can't release all of it. We can assist with making sure that the anchor's not there. Now you have to turn around and figure out what else is there, because there's obviously something there. And you were going to, it's going to feel rough, but it also can feel amazing. There are times when you finally get there and you're like, oh, I get that. I understand. You're always learning. We're always learning. It's so amazing. We know nothing. We are babies here on this planet. So we get to rediscover who we are and rediscover what this planet is able to do and what our capacities are too, or not. Who puts the limits here? Only oneself. And there I feel like it's like, wow, okay, what does that mean? And it's what it means to you, I feel. That's what I'm using this time, the Lionsgate. It's like I have assistants now. So therefore, I am going to use their assistance to manifest it so it can become our reality now. I feel like that is really important. Instead of going and healing, try to say, okay, maybe right now, could it be just a trigger that this is just after everything that has been out of the system, it's just releasing from you. So therefore, just let it go. And if it's supposed to be there, it will be there in a couple of days, maybe. If you can heal it, great. If you can forgive it, whatever it is. So transmuting, darkness to light. We're always talking about this when it
Well,
comes to that.
and now this whole gate, this alignment is no longer about bringing in, this princes of hell and Anubis, and now this is a direct connection with source, which we've been talking about 100% all the time now. The question is, what does that mean? Right? Do you have the capacity, the willingness to bring that in, allow it to flow through you, and allow that to be something that restores, replenishes you and the earth and others? And just embrace that. You know, just embrace the powerful, magical being that you are. And I really think that right now in Lions Gates or Source Gate, whatever you want to call it now, I really think that it opens an unlimited plethora of opportunities. So
Yes.
spend your time, caught up in the magic of what is possible and make it so, right? I think that's where I want to end it today. You got anything else pressing? And you've been dropping all types of wisdom on us. Anything else you want to share?
No, Mr. Al. Thank you for having me here, and I'll let you finish it off.
Yes, ma'am. All right, everybody. So that was another show for the Life Force Network. We can't thank you enough for being. We can thank you. We are thanking you enough. I'm trying to be conscious of my language. We're thanking you for being here. We appreciate you. We are thriving with you. We encourage you to thrive with each other and find ways to connect and change the world. There's a million different ways that you can contribute to make the world a better place, but it all starts with you doing something within yourself. So take some time during this celestial alignment. Ask yourself, what am I doing? Am I living the life that I need to be living to make the world a better place? Am I close and realizing the existence of God in me? Do I see this incredible energy right now? And can I use that in a way to make the world a better place? And go out and do it. And please come back and tell us about it. We'll bring you on the show and we'll share it with everybody. This is a historic moment. It's a historic moment. We are on the cusp of something we've only read about in fairy tales and in books, wishing it was possible. We're walking into a golden age of heaven on earth. We are in it right now. And all of our power is in our awareness of our power. So stop. Don't wait for someone else to make the world what you dream it should be. Take responsibility to make it exactly what you want it to be. Because nobody else, you're not going to be able to blame anybody else. You're not going to be able to thank anybody else. At the end of the day, if the world's going to be better, if the world's going to be what you always dreamt it was going to be, you are responsible to make it that way. So please join us. We'll do all we can to help, and please help us right back. My name is Stefan Rao. This is the Life Force Network. Let's go change the world.